We left the camp at gate C32 because Edith said it was time, and she was right. The board had flights we could not read and countdowns we could not count, and she picked the one that was boarding. Number and a gate and no destination.
Number and a gate. That is more than we have had in a while.
The clocks have not moved since we arrived on level 36. My watch has not moved, and the hall to the gate ran on, and neither of us looked back.
Hold my hand. I used to love this part. The walkway, the door, the moment where you are not in the airport anymore and not on the plane yet. I would always hold someone's hand if I had someone to hold.
She held mine, and I tried to remember if I had ever done this before, and there was nothing in the drawer. Not a flight, not a gate, not even the shape of a seat. I do not know if I have ever flown. Then the cabin, 300 seats in a long purple light that curves until you cannot see the end of it. The plane only exists because someone needed a flight. When the flight is over, the plane will stop existing. I have been in rooms like that. I have never boarded one. It did not ask. The cabin put me in a seat in an arbitrary section and her somewhere forward, out of sight. Regardless of the order they were boarded in, the plane does not know and the plane does not care. I counted rows. I lost count because after first class it loops back to economy and the same violet seats appear again. I am on a plane that has no end, no pilot, no destination on any screen, and the only person I trust is somewhere in the part I cannot reach.
I will find you.
Dear passengers, we will be taking off after this safety announcement. When the seatbelt sign is on, you must fasten your seatbelt. We strongly advise that you keep it fastened throughout the flight, especially in case of dimensional instability. There are no emergency exits on this aircraft, as there will be no emergencies. Do not be alarmed by anything seen outside the windows. We wish you a pleasant flight.
I fastened it. 3 things happen if you do not. You get sent back to level 36. You fall through the floor into the cargo hold, which is dark and cold and nobody has ever mapped, or you get ejected into the blue channel. One of those is a place I cannot come back from.
Cole, I am here.
Something came through the section divider with a trolley, a faceling. No face, no voice, no vocal cords at all. It pointed at a column on a plastic menu and waited. Eating is mandatory. The PA said so, in a sentence that did not need to end the way it ended. We would be dismayed if one of our passengers did not survive the flight. I do not know what they mean by that, and I do not want to find out. I had Babel balm in the seat bag. It was in my pack before that from the market on level 9. I thought if I could get it near the attendant's face, I could make it understand a question. Where's the woman I boarded with? Which section? Anything. The faceling grabbed the balm before it touched its face, threw it, and walked away. They have no vocal cords. Nothing aboard this aircraft can answer a question. I ate what I was given. The food does not taste as good as it looks. The screen on the seat in front of me had 3 sections. The first was a map, an incomprehensible web of connections, each node a level, and a small white plane tracking through it, likely a higher dimensional representation of the structure of the backrooms. I could not find where I was on it. I could not find where I was going. The second was the flight statistics. Altitude, 5 numbers separated by semicolons, none of them in any unit I have seen. Speed, 299,792,459. Temperature, -272. Distance to destination, 36,184, counting down not linearly. Time to destination, 0. 0, it has been 0 since the beginning. The plane's clock says we have already arrived and we are still in the air. I looked at the frozen counter in the corner of my own frame. My broken clock and the plane's working one say the same thing. Something is watching this screen with me, and it is not looking at me, and I am not looking at it, and neither of us blinks. The third section was movies, every poster blank, every film a black screen with no picture and no sound, and the time slider still moved. I played one, I quit halfway. I played another one because watching a black screen is still doing something. I reached into the pack for nothing in particular. I was feeling for shape and weight, the way I do when I need to know everything is there, and the shape was not there. The jar, Joseph Arnold's jar, the sealed one with the orbs I have never touched, I left it in the meeting place. I set it down when we were sitting, and I did not pick it up, and I boarded without it, and I have been in the air for I do not know how long. It is the only thing I was carrying that was not mine. A dead man's memories, the last thing that ever answered me when I asked who Mercer was, and I left it on a seat in a terminal on a level where time does not move. The plane has no pilot. The seatbelt rule says if I stand up I could fall through the floor or get ejected into the blue channel. I cannot go back for it.
Cole.
She was there. She had been working her way back through the cabin section by section for the entire flight. Every section divider she passed was a rule she broke, unbuckled, seat changing, walking through a looping plane that puts you where it wants you. The 3 punishments I read on the safety card, and she crossed every one of them to get here.
Listen to me. The landing announcement says anything left on the aircraft is deposited at the airport when the plane returns. The plane always returns. That is the rule. The jar was not on the aircraft. It was at the gate. Level 36 has a lost and found office. Things left on the carousel for 10 rounds get rerouted there.
I looked at her.
Nobody has ever written down what happens to something left at a gate. I do not know, Cole, but the office exists and the level keeps everything. That is what I have.
She did not promise me the jar was safe. She gave me a rule and an honest gap in the rule, and she sat down next to me. That was enough because it was true. It is physically impossible to sleep on this plane. You can reach the first stage and no further. In the seat bag there's an eye mask, a blanket, and earplugs, and every one of them is a joke the aircraft is telling. Too tired to be alive, too much to be dead. She was in the seat beside me and she was not talking and I was not talking and the quiet between us was not empty. I looked out of the window, the darkness outside tried to fill itself and could not. The millions of stars dancing and twirling in the void. Then hazy skyscrapers whizzing past in a deep, disorienting blue, the kind of blue that has a name I have been told not to say out loud, then nothing again. And for one held second there was another airplane and in its window there was a person pressed against the glass mirroring my own face, eyes locked. I blinked and there was nothing again. I do not know who that was, I do not know who I was before any of this. I'm a man who cannot remember his own name carrying a bag full of things that belong to other people, and the only thing in it that was mine I left in a building where time stands still.
Dear passengers, we have arrived at our destination safely and on schedule. The seatbelt sign has been turned off, and you may exit the aircraft by using the exit doors. Please ensure to take all your personal belongings with you. Anything remaining on the aircraft will be deposited at the airport upon our return. We hope you had a pleasant flight and wish you good luck on future travels.
The airport upon our return, it covers anything left on the aircraft. The jar was never on the aircraft.
Up, let us go.
The jet lag was already arriving. Both my body and my mind felt out of place and out of time. But there was a door ahead of us, and it was the first new door in a long while that was not a rule or a riddle or a test. It was just a door, and it was open. I took everything with me, everything I brought on and everything I did not. She walked out beside me. The door opened onto light and something that was not a corridor. I got off that plane with everything I brought onto it, and I left the only thing that was not mine in a building where nothing is ever lost. Do not eat the boarding pass.